Good evening, everybody, and or good morning to those down yonder, those in New Zealand, Australia, and the other parts of the world over there. Thank you for joining me. Good morning and good night. This week has been a crazy week. My last 2 months have just been blowed up, but this week I've been going nuts, making progress on the new website. And I'm still looking for an RV. I thought I found me an RV. What day is this? Today's Saturday. Yesterday, Friday. I drove for 12 hours yesterday, 12 hours of driving. I drove down, I'm in North Carolina at the North South Carolina state line. I drove down into the mountains of Georgia to look at a unit that was online and I seen images of and talked to the seller, and he made all kinds of claims, and it was this premium product, and he was going to sell it before the end of the year. He's going to take a loss on it. If not, he'd wait next spring and sell it for full retail. And it was a nice piece in its day. It was 4 or 5 years old, but it was a premium piece. So I was excited. I even called my insurance company, put insurance on it, and drove down there with the intentions of buying it and bringing it home. I got down there and that thing was in worse shape than mine. It had been flooded. The floors were soft and rotten. The floors were visibly wavy. And I just looked at the guy and I said, seriously, dude, I just drove, I forget the total miles, but it was a little over 3.5 hours, I think, to get to him. And I said, wow, thanks, man. I was there for less than 5 minutes. Got back in my vehicle, headed back home, looked at another one on the way back home. Long detour, and then finally got back into Charlotte area in the crazy Friday afternoon holiday traffic. And I ended up, right at 12 hours before I got back to the house with nothing accomplished. Woke up this morning and going, oh, I got to go live. What am I going to do? And I'm thinking, okay, well, Christmas holidays coming up, New Year's holidays coming up. And I think I want to make a unique hat. I want to make a hat with my laser. And I want to make it so that I can make it where I can have interchangeable pieces on it, be a reusable design, if you will, and have some fun with it. So I said, all right, well, how am I going to do this? And so I said, okay, well, I can kind of make it just a real simple design where I've just got the ring that fits my head, here, and then a center, and then a cross member across there. So it's 3 pieces that interlock together. Done. And then put a flat piece across that top piece, and then have it so you can put different attachments on it. If you wanted to do reindeer antlers, or if you wanted to do a Happy New Year, or just a random sign or comedy thing, whatever. Like, okay, that'll work. But your head ain't round. And nobody's heads are the same shape, and wasn't going to bother making it adjustable. I said, but I got to keep it simple. Got to keep it real simple, because for the guys and gals that are out here watching, you think it might be kind of a neat thing you do. Maybe you want to make hats that your grandkids could wear, or you do come up with different games or something that I forget what the games that are out there where they lick a card and put it on your forehead or whatever. Everybody's got to guess what it is, or you have to guess what's on the card. You can't see it. Everybody else can. Something like that, but you can do it with hats. So I'm like, okay, well, how do we make this design something that you can do a couple of quick measurements on and create a hat that's going to fit easily and without a whole lot of work? It does require that 4-letter word, math, but all you have to remember is one number. One number is all you have to remember to make this design. And I've got a piece of material on the rollie now. The rollie is tuned up, geared up, ready to go. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and hit the start button, and I'm going to start cutting the pieces for a hat. I call it a hat. It's not really it's headwear. It's not really a hat, but it's headwear. So let's see here. Come over here. I'm going to start this. Start. All right. So it's going. All right. Now, let's get over to the light burn. Or before we do that, let's talk about the measurements. So if you have a digital or a diode laser or a CO2 laser, you probably have a rotary as well. And if you have a rotary, it came with your fabric measuring device, your fabric ruler. And if you don't have one of these, you don't need it. You can do it with just a regular piece of string. This is going to be a whole lot easier because it's already marked with your measurements. But if you don't have a fabric tape measure, you can just grab a piece of string and do the same, calculate the measurement, your circumference around that head, and then measure that string after you pull it off your head. So, okay, well, that's how much I need. But here, I'm going to take this, and what you want to do is in order to get this to where it's going to fit good and snug, and if you're going to do this on your head or on your grandkid's head or what have you, just get a good bite or good grip on the end of the tape measure, and then wrap it right above your ears until you get it right across your brow, right around your ears, and where it comes together like so. And then look and see what your measurement is. And I've got 24 inches. 24 inches, or I don't know how many centimeters that is. I got it on the other side. So I know that I've got a total circumference of, well, it's not even circumference because it's not round. So I've got a perimeter of 24 inches. Well, how do I take that information and get that into Lightburn and get it into the right shape? Well, you got to take a second measurement. And for that, you can either use for I would say for the majority of us, we're old enough that we're having to wear glasses to see anything. Well, if your glasses fit real nice and snug, there's not a lot of spring in there, you could just measure that gap between your glasses for your measurement for the width of your head. Or quite silly, you can take your calipers and measure your temple. Say, okay, now the temple is going to be a little bit narrower than the total width, but you measure that, and well, there's your second measurement. All right. But how do we get these two measurements into the shape we need? You got to remember pi. Pi is 3.14, on. But 3.14 is all you need to remember. So let's jump over here to Lightburn. And I'm going to grab an ellipse. And I'm going to start with a perfect circle. I'm going to come in here and draw the perfect circle. And let's put it in line mode. All right. Well, I know that my perimeter, and I say that because it's not a circumference because my head's not round, but my entire perimeter was 24 inches. Well, you can't put in here 24 inches because this measurement is the diameter, not the perimeter, or not the circumference. So how do you get that size right in Lightburn? You divide the perimeter, 24 inches, or in the case here, we are working with a circle, so it's 24 inches in diameter. 24 divided by pi. 24 divided by pi. So clear, switch you back over here. And so if I've got 24 inches divided by 3.14, I got 7.64 inches. So I can take that value, 7.64, and keep my aspect ratio locked until it's 7.64. Now, that should be, if I come down here and get my measuring tool and click on this, we should see, yep, right here, the perimeter length is 24.005. So that's 24 inches. So that proves that divided by pi worked. So you take that one measurement, divide it by pi, and that's going to give you a circle diameter that you need to create your first measurement you need for your hat size, for your headwear size. But our heads aren't round. Our heads, yeah, Terry, it's math, but pi is all you need. You need to divide by pi. In a minute, we're going to multiply by pi, 3.14. This is about as easy as anything that you can do. Kevin says 24 inches. Holy crap. Yeah. Well, wait till you measure your own. It's surprising how big that diameter or that perimeter is. But I measured, had 24 inches divided by pi, and I had 7.64 inches in diameter. And when we look at the ruler, the measuring tool of a circle with 7.64 inches, the perimeter length is 24 inches. So there I've got a perfect circle that's 24 inches. But that's not what I need. So now I need to take that second measurement. And let's see here. My battery's about to go out and my calipers. And if you have calipers and you're always having to constantly reset, clear, and reset, it's probably just an indication that your battery is going dead. Time for a new battery, which is what I've got. So I'm going to go to inches, zero it out, and I'm just going to measure. And I'm going to leave a little gap there. And yeah, I got to try again because that says 2 inches because the battery's going dead. Reset. All right. My caliper's not going to work for me because my battery's dead. So I'm going to use my glasses. I got a straight line there, and my glasses go on without having to stretch them or pull them apart. And they're pretty good tight fit. And I'm going to use my fabric tape measure again and just measure that width between my glasses if I can see it. Fortunately, they're really, really big numbers. So that is about 6 1/4. All right, so 6 1/4 inches. Now that is the diameter of the circle from there, right? So 6 1/4 inches. So I draw out a perfect circle and I tell this one to be 6 1/4 inches and put it in the middle of this guy. There we go. So now I have 2 perfect circles. And I don't need a perfect circle. I got to have that elliptical shape of the dome. Well, I know how wide it is from here to here because I just measured 6 1/4 inches. So I'm going to bring the sides of my large circle into that 6 1/4 inches. But when I do that, it's going to change your total perimeter of that ellipse. Right now, the circle is 24 inches, and it needs to maintain 24 inches. So here's what we have to do. I'm going to duplicate this and move it over here just for a second. So I got my originals. This one, I'm going to unlock my aspect ratio, and I'm going to tell the width to be 6 1/4. So now I've got the width correct. But if I go to my rule, my measuring tool, and look at that piece, you can see now it's 21.8761 inches. I've lost, was that 2.2? Is that right? 2.2 inches. I've lost 2.2 inches in that total perimeter length. So I can, and I tried doing this by percentage earlier, and it didn't quite work out. Percentages, it doesn't work, but it gets you close. So I'm going to say I'm going to just start increasing it by 10%. And I think I'll probably end up doing 1 or 2 more. But let's see here what the comments are. When a baby's head is 19 inches at birth, 24 is not that far off for an adult, I guess. Who you calling an adult? Those fighting words. The battery is dying. Use printed scale on yeah. Battery's dying, and I just use, like I said, this works. You know how I know this works? Because that's how I got these measurements, and it's a cutting. All right, let's see. No need to remember R314. Just put pi into light burn. Well, okay, yeah. I forgot about that. You can enter the pi value in there to do, but 3.14. If you don't, I think everybody should know that value. If they don't, it's a good thing to commit to memory because it does come in handy. All right. So now back over here to light burn. So I need this to have a total perimeter length of 24 inches. So if I come in here, say, okay, now what I'm going to do is I need my width to stay the same. I only want to change my height. So I'm going to come over here to this percentage button. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and say, because I know 10% didn't work last time, I'm going to just say 112%. So 112%. And now go look at the measurement. And that's 23.4. So it's still not quite enough. So I'm going to say okay. And I'm going to say 102%. And look at the measuring. And that is 23.7. Still not quite. So let's go another 2%. I'll say 102 again. And measuring. There's 23.98. That's awful darn close. We'll go 1%. So 101%. And let's see if that's too much. Oop, wrong button. Measuring tool. There we go. 24.13. So yeah, we'll go down 0.5%. So we're going to say 99.5. 99.5%. And measuring tool. And there we got 24.06. And that I'm happy with. So now I've got the width right. And I've got the total perimeter correct. And I use perimeter because elliptical, it's not a circle, so it's not a circumference. But now I've got those two measurements correct. It looks kind of funky, but believe it or not, that's what the head shape is. Let's see here. Shame the measurement tool doesn't work in reverse. Put in 24 inches and it gives width. And shame the measuring tool doesn't work in reverse. Put in 24 inches and it gives width and height for X shape. I don't follow you. I have a hard time comprehending what I'm reading. I've told you guys that. That's the stroke. I can read. I don't always follow, but I don't follow what I'm not picking up what you're laying down there, Chris. All right. And who mentioned pie? What kind? Sounds good. Apple a la mode. Apple a la mode is my favorite. All right. So now I only had to take 2 measurements. The total measurement around at the brow, at the highest point on your occipital or the back of your head where it's most proud, and right just above your ear line. And then, the width, and I measured right at my brow and used those 2 measurements to get the final shape for the outer ring. So now I'm going to say, okay, or the bottom ring. I'm going to take, I can delete that because I got it over here. So there is the shape for the bottom piece. Now, I'm going to take that and I'm going to duplicate it, move it over here, just so I've got it. Now I'm going to do an offset, and I'm going to do an outward offset, and I'm in inches, so we'll do 1 inch outward offset and say okay. Do not delete your original. And right now, let's group those. And there is the ring. And if you're doing this for the first time and you won't, and if you got, and honestly, since we're not doing this the way any real, oh, fudge, I just forgot the name of the hat maker. Tell me, what's the proper name for a hat maker? I know it, and I just went. But a hat maker would never use this technique. But it's going to work for what we're doing for something we're going to cut with a laser. And Matt Hatter, haberdasher, thank you, grafting Gene, thank you, haberdasher. I knew that. I just couldn't think of it. I'm the Mad Hatter in doing this, and I'm no haberdasher by no means. But this will work. Would a toilet seat be a good template? I guess it depends on how big your head is, I guess. But this will work. And if you've got 3 or 4 rugrats running around in the house, you can probably take one and measure all 3 of them and then get an average, and it's going to work. It's going to be close enough that it'll work with all 3 of them, because we're not making something that's going to be, a perfect fit. So now we've got that ring. If you have plenty of material sitting around and if you do this right, we're going to be able to, and I say this, I put in the thumbnail, we're going to do this for under $4, because you're going to be able to make this headwear out of 1 piece of 300 by 300 material and a portion of another, depending on what you want to add to it. If you wanted to do a full rack antlers, then you might use 2 full sheets. But if you nest this into a 12 by 12 piece of material, you can cut out everything you need to make the headwear out of 1 piece of material for less than $2. Milner is a hat maker. Okay. I think he was saying that the measure tool comes up and you could get 24 perimeter and 7 for X. Okay. Told you I was good at trivia. All right. Now, but what I was going to say is, if before you went too far down the rabbit hole with this, you want to take this and cut it out and just set it on the head, your head, their head, anybody's head, and just test it, see how far it fits, how, is it comfortable, and make any adjustments before you go too far. But I promise this technique will be close enough that it's going to work fine. So back over here. So now I've got this piece. I need to get this piece. All right. I know the measurement in a straight line, but I don't know the arc. So how do I figure that out? Well, we're going to use pi again. So I had measured that and had 6 1/4 inches. So I'm going to duplicate that, bring it over here. And that is, and actually, let's see, how. This is almost finished. I'm having to think for a second. I can simply do a 1-inch offset of that. And that gives me that arc that I needed there. Let me look here. Hold that thought for a second. Because I don't want to steer you wrong. I don't want to tell you, because I've already done a couple of these. Because I don't like to do anything that I haven't tested before sharing with you. But let me look here. That and that, and go back there. Okay. What's an elf's favorite candy? Keep it PG. Keep it PG. Now, swap that back over here. So I've already got this measurement, and that fits from here to here. But let's just give this a 1-inch outward offset. And let's draw a straight line and tell that to go to the center of that. And now I'll use my scissors. Get my scissors, there we go, and cut away that. So now I've got that piece. Staple the hat on? No, we're not going to staple the hat on. All right, so switch. The rolly's finished. I've already cut. That's how quick it's very, very quick cutout. I'm not going to do, well, yeah, I am. Let me switch this over on the rolly. Bye-bye. And I may get this piece started. Rolly, there we go. And move that. And group. And I'm not showing you what I'm doing because I want that to be a surprise. I want a big reveal there. Now. Because I make this one, and I'm going to wear this one to Christmas dinner. Frame it. I believe I'm good. Now, I'm not going to bother updating it. How do I get the scissors? I missed an update. The scissors are not part of they were a long time ago. So let's see here. Let me get this started. And start. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Well, I'm going to stop that. I don't want to do the engraving because it's going to take too long. Go back to cuts and layers, turn off that, and just cut it out. There we go. And start. And it's up. Home. Yes, I know I stopped it. This is aggravating. And I don't know if this, Chris, is strictly a Rolly issue since 1.7, but since 1.7, I can't get this thing. Half time I have to tell it to reset the entire thing. But this ain't even working. Powered off. Once it's powered off, disconnected, power it back on. I'm locked out. I'm right clicking to reset. It won't reset. I'm at the right COM. I'm going to change different COMs and then go back to the right COM. And right click on devices. Won't work. Waiting for connection. Oh, there we go. Finally, now it's reset. And frame it again. That'll work. Say okay. And cut some layers. And just cut it. Okay, now we're back in business. Let's get back to how to make the piece from the back to the front. Chris says, I'm convinced it's actually a Windows driver problem, but yet to prove it. Well, it never had that problem until 2.0. So it may be, in fact, be a problem with the way it interacts with Windows, but it never happened until 2.0. Never. All right. So back over here. And so we've got two of the three pieces that we need to make an interlocking piece. So I'm going to grab this piece. I'm going to duplicate it, bring it over here, and then I'm going to rotate it. So now you can see that measurement there. All right. So I need to go from here to here, but I'm going to take this. I'm going to duplicate that, bring it over here, because this is going to tell me how high this needs to be. I know how long it is from this point to this point, but this is going to tell me how tall it has to be. So I can come in here and grab me a pencil, and I'm going to come right there to the center point and draw a straight line until it intersects again right there. And there is the total length from minus the offset. So I've got that measurement. So let's grab that. And this piece, if I were to come over here and just bring a guideline from there and then grab my measuring tool and come right there to the center and measure straight down. I'm holding shift till I get to right there. That's 3 1/8 of an inch, or 3.125 inches. Or for you metric loving folks, from the center right there, straight down, 79.38 millimeters. But I'm going to stay with my inches where we're at. And I said, what's that? 3 1/8, 3.125. All right. So that's a radius. So if I come over here and I say, I need to lock my aspect ratio, and I want 6 1/4, which is what we had a minute ago. That was that same 6 1/4. That's how high it's going to be, but I need it to be that long. So there is my 6 1/4 centered up over that. So now I'm just going to stretch this out. I'm going to stretch it out to right there. Or let's take Control Z. I already know that line's length, 8.9466. So unlock and tell it 8 point, what was it? What was it now? 89466. 89466. 89466. 89466. There we go. And now I can do an outward offset, 1 inch. Do not delete the original. Say OK. Grab that line, hold my control button and drag it past it. Grab my scissors, cut, 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 and cut. There is my third piece. So there is my lower brim. There's across my ears, and there's from the brow to the back of the head. So it was that easy and that simple to create the 3 pieces I need to interlock with each other. Now get the interlocking pieces. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab my rectangle tool. And I'm going to tell it to be, we're going to go back to millimeters, and we're going to go 3 millimeters wide. And I did an inch, which is 25.4 millimeters. So I'm going to say 25.4 divided by 2 gives me 12.7. So that's the half of the width of these 2 pieces. And if I take and grab my snapping guide right there, I should be able to find my snapping point. And right there. There's center. And then if I duplicate that and bring that down here, grab my snapping cursor right there and look for that same. Come on. And when you can't find it, just select it and tell it go to center. There you go. Now that's centered up. But, and I'm glad to see you guys are answering the questions. 1.5.06 is where they introduced the scissors. Jack Shop says scissors did not show up until 1.7. Greg says 1.5.06. And if you don't let's see, Control K is the shortcut. And I don't see the option to turn on and off just the scissors. You can turn that menu off, that sidebar, but I think that's if you correct me if I'm wrong, Chris or Jack, but if they have the update, any update that has the scissor tool, as long as they have that toolbar over there, it should be showing. All right, so back over here. I've positioned, I didn't want to bring that out. All right, so I've positioned these. I've got one in the bottom and one on the top. But did I do it right? So what you got to think about, I'm wanting to create these so that they interlock. And then I'm going to have a place on it where I can now attach antlers, Happy New Year 2026, whatever you whatever you want to put on there. So when they interlock together, that piece has got to be unobstructed. And since I want it to be, facing out this way, then it's got to go on the narrower piece. So let's see here. Go back here, and switch you over. So I actually need to have this on the smaller piece at the center and the top. And this one, I can't do center bottom because it's going to drop it down to the bottom down here. So I just need to bring that down and get my snapping cursor right there. There it is. So that's where you need it. You need to have the cutout in the this. Is that it? I want to make sure I got that right. I'm 90% sure I got that right. No. Yeah. Yeah. So the small one has the cutout in the bottom. So I had it right to begin with, dummy. Just undo. There we go. There. How do I save preferences? File, preferences, open preferences, import, export, load preferences. It automatically saves your preferences. Does it not? Yeah. Setting is updated every time you save or close Lightburn. So if you set up Lightburn the way you want it to be, with the tools displaying where they are and everything is configured the way you want it to be, when you close Lightburn, it's going to save that as its latest preference. Then if you open Lightburn and for some reason it doesn't open with those preferences, you can go to your preferences and underneath File, drop down to Preferences and Load. Open your folder for your preferences and import or load your preferences back up, and it should open up a whole list of. And if you know it was what you wanted the last time you used Lightburn, just load the last time you used it. But it saves your preferences every time. It updates them every time you close Lightburn. All right. So I had that right. You want to have that notch in the bottom because we're going to modify the top of this one to accept our piece for our artwork. Now, you've seen I snapped the center of that 3 by 12.7 rectangle to the line of that arc. But because it's an arc, it's not going to be contacting all the way across. And I'm going to zoom in and show you this. So I've got that snapped in, but if you look, you see how that's proud over here? It's not all the way down because that is an arc. It's touching in the very center where it needs to be. So in order to get your cutout correct, what you need to do is select that. Don't drag the entire thing because this line here is crucial. All you got to do is just grab that and extend it past and the same thing down here. Just grab that and extend it past. And then you say A, subtract B. So that's subtract, and that gives you that. And you say A, subtract that, and gives you that. So now those are going to interlock together. And now we need to have these be able to interlock in here. Snap. You have somewhere for them to snap together here and here, and then opposite for the other side. So what I'm going to do is same thing. I'm going to create 3 millimeters by 25.4 divided by 2 or 12.7 millimeters. And I'm going to tell it to go to, well, let's see. We'll go, we've got to ungroup that because I got those grouped. I only want to select this one. So ungroup it. And then I want to tell that to go to the center of this. And then I'm going to use Alt-Shift-V to have it dock right up against it. Alt-Shift-V moves it right down to that line. Now, I didn't do this whenever I created my first template, but I'm going to try this. I'm going to try using the circular array tool and see if it'll give me 4 of those in the proper position. So with both of those selected, selecting the square first, or that rectangle first, circular array, nope, it's not going to work because the circular array goes from the center of the last selected objects. Let's try turning that off. Use last set dot as the center. Turn that off. Nope, so yeah. So it's going to rotate from the center of that ellipse, even though it's an ellipse, and it's going to rotate in a circle because it is a circular array. So I can't do that, but I can do 2. Now that I've got 2, they're directly opposite. Those are in the right spot. So I can say okay. Then I'm going to ungroup them because I had them grouped. I'm going to duplicate that, Control D, duplicate it, rotate it, and then I want to bring that one over here and tell it to go to the horizontal center, and then Alt-Shift-H to bring it right to that line. Copy along path. I hear you. That'll work. What do we love to say here at Hobo with Wood? There's always another way. And I didn't even think about trying to do the circular array the first time I was doing it. And copy along path would work. But you've seen I was able to use circular array and do 2. But now let's do this copy along path and see how that works out. Because I need to do another one with it directly opposite. So right click. Nope, right click doesn't have copy along path. So that, hold shift, select that, arrange, copy along path. And I only need 2 copies. There we go. So that worked. Now, just for grins and giggles, to show does it work with all 4, we're going to delete those. That's in the correct position. Hold shift, select that ellipse, go to the arrange menu, copy along path. We want to rotate the copies. There we go. So that worked. So copy along path, we'll get, and you have to tell it to rotate the copies. We'll put all 4 of them in the right spot with one application or one tool done. Would it affect art gallery and art library? Yeah, I'm missing out on some of those. Oh, would it? No. Your preferences, will not changing and loading your preferences are not going to affect your art library or your art gallery. If that was your question, Greg. All right, now I've got the same problem. These are on an arc, so they're not completely touching at the corners. The outermost corners of those pieces are not touching the arc, so they have to be drug in order to be able to get a clean cut. He's saving things to reload after update. Okay. All right, so you got to do the same thing I did a minute ago where we elongate those, but we don't want to move the position of them. And if I say okay, got that done. So come in here, select that, and it doesn't matter how far you drag it out. Just drag it out to where it's going to be inside the circle. Now, there is a problem with this design that Lightburn doesn't like, because the gurus decided when they created the resize slots and selection tool to leave this option out, because they thought it would create more confusion than it would be beneficial. And I've run into this a few times with my designs where I need it and it's not there. I don't agree with them leaving it or omitting it from the tool, but I'm going to show you. So I've got all of these. I can grab the 4 of these, group those, and now I need to select the outermost one. Outermost one? No. I need to select the innermost one and this, and now I need to add those or weld those together like that. Now, by doing that, it actually subtracted it from the unit, the one piece. So those I actually added to this one inner circle to create the subtraction of the entire unit. And where the problem comes in with this, I've created this with 3mm widths for all of these slots and tabs. But with this one single piece, because these are slow, I don't think it's going to work. Because they're, let's see if Lightburn will recognize them as a slot. I think you have to do it as a tab, but these it's been a problem before. If I go to tools, resize slots and selection, slot width, say 3mm, and we want to change it to 2.7mm. And let's give it a 0.5 millimeter tolerance. So it's not recognizing those as slots. And the reason that it doesn't recognize those as slots is it's only a slot when you're looking at it as a whole. The two pieces together, that outer cut and the inner cut, that's when that becomes a slot in that entire piece. But it's only an entire piece when they're grouped. And you cannot change slots and tabs and slot width on any grouped items. So it all has to be ungrouped. So by ungrouping it, it's no longer a slot. It's now, when we look at just that outer piece, it's a tab. And we can change the tab height, but we can't change the tab width. So this particular part of the design is not going to be editable. You can't change that width. But if you go with 3mm, majority of our 300 by 300 material we get is anywhere from 3 to anywhere, actually probably from 2.6 to 3.1 or whatever. The smaller, if it's under 3mm, it's going to go together and you glue it up. It's not going to be a problem. If it's a little bit thicker, then you can always, a little bit of sandpaper and it's going to fit together. All right. So, but that's the problem. We can change tab height, but you can't change tab width. And tab width should be here. But now we've got slots for these to interlock. We got slots for these to snap in, but we don't have the tabs for them. So we'll come back over here and we'll give us a 3mm. This is going to be 25.4 divided by 2 or 12.7 and 3mm. And I'm going to put that right on the corner. No, on this corner. My bad. About messed up. Put it there. Control D. Oh, wrong. That's Control S. Can't do that. Cancel that. Control D. Duplicate it. Bring that over here. Group those. And now, and actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and duplicate that and bring those down here. Group those and weld that. So now those have got the tabs on it. Now let's give these to their proper position there and there. Oh, come on. Got to get it. group them so they're one unit, and then select that and weld it, and done. So now that's done. Those are all going to interlock and snap together, and you're going to have a nice tight fit. Now, this is the piece I want to modify and create a place to mount my artwork. So I'm just going to, I'll just draw a straight line. I'll grab my pencil tool and draw a line. I ain't worried about the length. And I'm going to grab that line and I'm going to tell it to go to the center. And then Alt-Shift-V to get it to the very top. Now, I need to bring this down, and I'm going to bring it down 3 mil. And I've used my cuts, or my arrow movement is 1 millimeter. So I can say, okay. So select just that line and arrow it down 1, 2, 3. And that's where I want to flatten it off. And so I'll use my scissor tools again to flatten here, here, and here. All right. How long is that? That measures 49.85 mil. All right, so it's right at 50 mil, or just under 2 inches. That's fine. So now I'm going to come over here and create, let's say I want to have 3 tabs across there. So 3 tabs would be 4 spaces. So it's going to be a total of 7 units. So I'm going to tell the width of it to be 50 mil divided by 7. And you'll see why I did that in a second. And I'm going to grab that, bring it over here. I'm going to put it right on that corner. I'm going to duplicate it. And then I want to tell that duplicate to align to the bottom of that one. Alt-Shift-H, bring it there. Oops. And grab this one. Come over here, and I'm going to snap that to that corner. Create a duplicate. And I'll snap it to that corner. Now I'll grab that one and bring it over here. And I'm going to tell it to, and I love this tool. I love the distribution tools. I'm going to put this over here real close. And I'm just going to tell it to align to the bottom of that one. And now I've got these 2 end pieces positioned correctly. So select all 3 of those and tell it to distribute selected objects horizontally with even space between them. So now those are evenly spaced across that measurement. I can duplicate that because I'm going to need that in a minute. Oop, didn't mean to do that. Control Z, grab the middle. There we go. I'm going to need those in a minute. I'm going to group them and weld it. And it didn't do that. It didn't weld up the way I want it to. But these are grouped when that happens, and it happens a lot. Even though they were all aligned perfectly on straight line, sometimes Lightburn does that. Just ungroup it, then select the 2 that did not weld up, and just bring them down. It doesn't matter how far you bring them down, just bring them down. Group those back together, hold your shift button, and weld those together. Done. All right, so those are now set up and in their proper orientation. Now I'm going to come over here and grab a rectangle, and we'll say, all right, now here I'm going to make a piece that's going to snap onto that top piece that then I can snap artwork onto. So those 3 tabs are going to be in the center, snap to that center rib. So in order to snap my artwork on, I've got to have room outside of those to snap that artwork on. So I'm going to, if that was 50, we're going to start at 75 mil right now and see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. I'm going to group these, put it in the center of that. All right. And now I'm going to get a rectangle, and it needs to be 3 mil. And I'll just, it's close to 10, we'll make it 10 mil. And I'm going to put it in the center, horizontal center of those. So now it's lined up. Those don't look like they're 3 mil high. They're not. Did I not get my 3 mil? I must add an aspect ratio lock, but we can fix that. We're going to keep our anchor point in the, now this is where a lot of people that don't understand the anchor point will mess up their entire design. Right now, I've got those in there at 2.5 mil, and I need to make them 3 mil. And if I don't have the anchor point in the very center, if it's in one of the corners or somewhere on the side, when I change it from 2.5 to 3 mil, it's going to move them up and away and out of position. So make sure your anchor point's in the very center. Anchor point's in the middle, and aspect ratio is unlocked, and just tell it needs to be 3 mil. And there, that kept everything in the right spot and moved them up 3 mil. And I need to change that. So tools, resize slots and selection. These are going to be tab height, and they need to be 3 mil. And it's done. So there, I just fixed whatever I screwed up. So now I want to get that slot duplicated, move it over here. And right now, I'm not going to worry about my ADD and getting everything exactly positioned. I'm just going to eyeball these. I'm going to look to see, using my shift arrow to move that over incrementally to about there. That looks like that's pretty close to centered there. This one, I'll give it just a little bit more about there. Then I can group those, and once they're grouped, select that rectangle until it go to center, and now they are exactly centered up in that piece. I need to take that and duplicate those two, because those are going to be the piece that needs to go, the tabs that go on the artwork. You got me? So, and this piece, I'm going to round over. It's right now right at 12 mil. So we're going to give a radius of 5 mil. That's good. And say radius there, there, and there. Just round that over. And I want to do the same thing on all these other corners. In fact, I can just leave it at 5. So come down here, radius. Anything that's, this is going to be on my head. So I don't want any corners poking me in the head. All right. So that's done. Move these over here. That's done. Now, whatever artwork you want to put on the top of this, if it's going to be antlers, if it's going to be Happy New Year 2026, Merry Christmas, or if you wanted to do a Santa hat, well, it's very important that you don't make it so large and that it's going to make the top portion of that headwear want to slip and slide or fall off your head. So I wouldn't make it any taller than the actual height of the headwear itself. So let's see here. I just want to make sure I've not missed anything. And again, I appreciate you guys helping each other out. That's what this is all about. The community of helping each other. This is something, that, I spent the day figuring out and designing. It's not something I'm going to put on my website and sell, because these are not one size fits all, but I'm showing you step by step how to do this. And we only had to use math twice, and it only involved pi, taking 2 measurements. This is a really, 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 really easy thing to do, and something you can do that's going to be totally unique and you're not going to find anywhere else. All right. So no, I haven't missed anything. If I have missed your question or comment, post it in there. In fact, let me mark this spot, because I've been trying to get through this We're an hour in. I've got everything cut out already, ready to assemble. But I want to show you this complete design process. So I wouldn't, and for my artwork, I wouldn't make it any taller than the actual height of the headware. So if that's the case, then if this is the height of my piece, which is, let's go to inches. Height's about 4.25, about 4.25 inches. That's about as tall as I would want to make the artwork. So let's go to my favorite Heart SVG. Want to sign in. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to sign in. I'm going to show you what you guys can get for free. I'm not signed in. If you go to heartsvg.com, I'm not signed in. This is right now free search. Let's look for a Santa hat. There's a whole bunch of Santa hats that you can download for free. Well, these have got prices on them, but there's some free ones in there. There's a free one with antlers on it. That might be kind of cool. Here's some that are just, there's a free one with no antlers. Let's do, you know what? I think I want to do that antler hat. I think. No, I don't want to do that. I'm looking, because now what I'm thinking is I want it to be more flat across the bottom. And those have got the puff, the little powder puff ball hanging real low. That would be a little bit challenging. I don't want to do that. I can do it, but I don't want to. Not in this free stream. But check what I can do here. That might be the hat that I want. LOL when he finally sees it. What? Pie is the only thing. Pie is the only thing about math I like. You missed the answer to the Elf's favorite. No, I got it. Ornaments. I got it. And thank you for keeping it PG. Yeah, I did see it. I'm just trying to. This is a lot of information that I didn't want to get through on this design. It's easy to do, but there are some things that you got to follow the right steps. So, and I want you to be able to do this yourself without any problems. So I'm trying to get through this within a 90-minute time frame. All right. I want this hat. I don't need this cow, but I want that hat. I could probably keep searching, or I do have an account with them, and I might could log in and find something that I wanted, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to download this one. It's free. Add to cart. Okay. I think you'll still, even though it's free, you may have to actually create an account. Let's see. Add to cart. Go to cart. It's totally free. So yeah, you can, you got all these different options. So I'm just going to save a lot of time. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And get my Santa hat again. Go get that cow. There it is. All right. Now that I'm signed in, I should just click, download now. Now that it's downloaded, I can go back over to Lightburn and import from my downloads. Okay, I got that cow. Now, I don't need any part of the actual cow itself. I don't need that. I'm getting rid of all the pieces. And now I can come in here and I can actually take this and do an outward offset to about there. Say okay. And now use the scissors to get rid of that and that and that. There. There. There's a little place there, but I can get that with the selector tool. So delete that. So now I've got just the hat. And let's put that in fill mode, see what that looks like. That's what I thought. So I've got an open shape here. Edit, close path. It didn't close path. Oh, that's because this here, dummy. I missed that cut. Got to cut that off. There we go. And now I'll go back to wireframe mode and get rid of that. And now you're in a fill. And that looks right. All right. So I'm good with that hat. I'm going to group all that together and tell it to be, well, that's good. That's 4¼ inches right there. No, that's width, height. I want 4¼ in height. Oh, I need to lock my aspect ratio. Lock that, undo that, lock that back. 4¼ There we go. Oh, the horn outline. Yep, get rid of that. Oh, dummy. Golly. I needed that line. Control Z. I should have done an offset of that. And say okay. And let's delete that and get another offset. I missed that. Thanks for the heads up. Now I can get my scissor tools, get rid of that one, and get rid of all of that. There we go. That's right. And that'll have to be changed, morphed over a little bit. Had a little bit more work than I thought, but we're getting there. That goes bye-bye. I need to go into node editing, and I'm going to grab this guy and bring it up here. Oh, I had too many. I'm missing something. Oh, I needed to overlap up there, I think. like that. And then uh, and close shapes, edit, close path, fill mode. Oh, still open somewhere. Edit, go node editing. There. I'm getting off on a tangent, and that's not closing together. Alt J, join. Nope. Tools, close path. Let's see, edit, close path. What are we doing? I don't want to do that. Edit, close path. It's not closing. That's not snapping together. That's not snapping together. Oh boy, why is it doing this to me? Why? Because we're live. Alt Shift W. I go into node editing and grab those origin nodes right there. That should snap together. They're snapping, but they're not closing. Edit, close path. And it's not closing path. Close path with tolerance. Edit. Increase our tolerance. Yeah, then that's going to close it funky shape. Zoom out so you can see what it's doing. Edit. Close shape with tolerance. Well, when it finally does get it, there we go. Say okay. Did that work? What is that? Is that a random peak? There we go. Node editing. D for delete. Did that get it finally? Alt Shift W. No. That's still not closing. Edit. Close path. Nope. Edit. Close with tolerance. Join with a line. Okay. It did some funky line, something there. But it's still not closed properly. All right. This ain't about artwork and node editing. This ain't working. So I'll just show you what I did. In fact, let's do this real quick. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. And go back to line mode. All right. if this is going to be my artwork and it needed to be 4 1/4 in height, I make my artwork be something like that. And let's put some corner or some radiuses on it. Again, I don't want anything sharp around my head or around the little one's head, anybody that's wearing it. Whatever the artwork you decided it'd be, it wouldn't be a rectangle, of course. Make sure that those are centered up, and then Alt-Shift-V for vertical and weld those together. It didn't weld those together. Ungroup it, grab that one and just grab that one and elongate it, and then weld it. And now that will snap into that once you assemble your hat. Now let's do that. Let's grab these pieces off with a laser. These have been cut out when we started today's show. And I haven't cleaned these or sanded these or done anything. Straight off of the laser. Got my little piece for the artwork. So I've got my brim. These are going to interlock together and fit flush. There we go. Then you would glue these all in place. You're going to glue these. If you use wood glue or super glue, just make sure your glue's dry before you test fit it. You don't want to super glue it to your head. At least I don't want to. Some of you might. I don't know. All right, so now that those are interlocked and locked into place. See there? Look at that. Ain't that a pretty darn good fit? All right, done. And now you can take your piece, and it was, it's one thing I forgot to tell you about, and I got to go do that because this is crucial. This is crucial. And I didn't do it. I did it on mine, but I didn't show you on here. In order for this piece to snap in there, you need to make a little notch for it so that it fits flush. And I didn't show you that. So let's go do that now. We still got a few more minutes. So back over here. Oh, wrong button. That's good. And that button. So this piece, how wide, how tall is this? This is millimeters, 12 millimeters in height. So you want to come over here and give yourself a 12 millimeter by 3 millimeter. Oh, aspect ratio needs to be unlocked. So 12 by 3. And you're going to bring that down here. And what you're going to need to do is say, go to the, not that side, go to the vertical center. Is that vertical center? Yeah. Vertical center. And then align it to the top. All right. And now say A, the outermost piece, subtract that piece there. And there, that gives you a recessed area for that piece, your artwork mount, to mount in there and be flush or flush-ish with your piece. Now, you can, if you wanted to, you could come in here and create a second rib to go across there. You don't need it. Once you glue this up, it's really, really strong and sturdy. But if you wanted to, you could go back into your artwork, your ribs, and put artwork all along in here. You can engrave that, make it pretty, or do cutouts. If you wanted to come in here, and we have our star now. Come in here and just put in some random stars. I'm just curious. What happens if I select that and then arrange and copy a long path? Yeah, that works. Let's zoom out so we can see it. Arrange, copy a long path. And you can rotate the copies. You can change how many you put in there, change your vertical spacing. And because of our notches in there, that kind of works, kind of don't work. But you know what? It works enough to get my 8 copies, and then you can just space them out and do what you want to with them. But what I did, if you're wanting to keep this under $4, we just did this with one sheet of material and then a scrap piece to make your artwork, because it can't be too big. It can't be a full sheet of 12 by 12 without making, well, I say that it can't. The total mass of your top piece does not need to exceed the mass of your lower piece, the weight. So whatever that piece weighs, you could do some long, skinny antlers, and those total mass would not exceed your total mass of the lower portion. But here's what I did. I'm taking this to Christmas dinner. And the artwork that I went with was from one of my favorite all-time characters. Rotate that, turn that back on. There we go. This is a quote from one of my favorite characters, Fat Bastard. Get in my belly. And I got a fat kid. Hello. And I started to put the hobo with wood on his t-shirt, but it was just going to take too long, so I didn't do that. So I got get in my belly. And I cut that out and put it on the top of mine. And then I went a step further. Now, if I could have stopped with that, and I'd still been under $400 with my hat and done. But being that I am me, I had to take it just a wee bit further. And my hat I cracked myself up. I've got my get in my belly. Get in my belly. But on top of that, I've got a can of Coke. I got a milkshake. And I've got a cheeseburger in there. And it's got my fairy lights. And my milkshake's hanging a little low. I got to fix that. But I'm good to go. Get in my belly. So, obviously, this ended up costing me more than $4. But you can do all kinds of wild and crazy things with that as a base skeleton. It works fine as is. You don't need to do any other addendums to it. Or you can cut it out and help create more artistic things in it. You want to be careful about how much material you remove, because you don't want to weaken the piece by cutting out pieces. And I gotta get the milkshake out of my eyes. It's supposed to be up there on the brim, but it's fallen off the brim. I didn't get it glued in place. Physics says mass of artwork can exceed the bottom due to the brim preventing tilting too far. Yeah, but if it's too heavy up there, and if you don't have a really good snug tight fit, it could cause it to want to roll forward, or if you tilt your head, make it want to fall off. Looks like you need a toga with that Zeus. So anyway, this is something that is easy to do, real simple. Like, remember, all you got to do is take that measurement and get your total. It's not a circumference, your total perimeter of the skull. Use those tricks I showed you with pi, divide by pi to get your total circular diameter. But you're going to need to keep that overall measurement. Mine was 24 inches. So you're going to measure the width here, bring that into the actual width, but then you need to elongate it to maintain your original 20. Mine was 24 inches. You'll need to maintain your original measurement. Then you just offset that. You're done. It's easy. It's simple. Real simple. It's 2 measurements you got to make. You can even get the grandkids to stand still long enough to take those 2 measurements, and then they go run off and do whatever. And then while they're, out aggravating the dog, or if you're in a climate enough that they go outside and make snow angels and snowmen, when they come back in, you've got them a fun little hat that they can wear, and something that their friends don't have. And if you get your lights, depending on what lights you go with, I've got just the white, or they can be colored, or they can be twinkle, all kinds of good fun stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, it was a last minute idea. I was like, okay, there we go. Couldn't get the lights out. I still didn't get the lights out. Now I got the lights out. But I think it'd be fun, a fun project. And especially, this is something as simple as the assembly is. You can cut the pieces out and then have the grandkids come in and let them put it together. And then if you really want to keep the cost down, you do just a couple of little pieces of artwork or something in there, cut out a few stars or something, and then give them some paint markers or some Sharpie markers and just let them paint it up and color it whatever they want it to be. And then maybe you surprise them with the artwork that you're going to put in the top of it. You don't give them that. Maybe you do. Maybe you let them paint that up too. But I think this is a fun project that could incorporate and keep them busy, especially, letting them color it, paint it, do whatever. Busy hands, they're not out getting into trouble. So let's see here. Well, I'm glad you loved it. That's a photo. I love it, love it, love it. Definitely need to make one of those. And really what I want you guys to do, take this, play with it, make it your own, and then post them in the Hobo with Wood Facebook group. Show everybody what you've taken, the basic skeletal structure of this. And like I said, if without all that crap on there, and I don't have this glued together yet, so I've got to make sure. There we go. And look at how well that fits on there. All right. I could have actually made it. This could be a little bigger than the 24 and to bring it on down a little further. And if you're going to wrap garland or anything around it, tinsel, if you wanted to wrap the outer brim in some silver tinsel, or if you had white tinsel and then up top do it with red, or kind of make it like the Santa hat or whatever, you're probably going to want to add another 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch to your measurement to it, so it's not as snug. Because like I said, that's tight. That's snug as a bug in a rug. And this is not even glued together yet. So it works. Take this, play with it, make your own, and then share it with the Facebook group, Hobo with Wood, and Facebook there. Let's see here. Yeah, just move it up and it would be perfect. The next haircut. I'm going to mutate that and make stuff I can just staple to the brim of a ball cap. There you go. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and to everybody. Let's see here. Someday I should do Facebook, but it makes me nervous. Well, you know, you can be scared. There's reasons to be worried, but you know what? All the things you're worried about, you're probably right to be worried about them. But even if you're not partaking in Facebook, they're watching and monitoring everything else you do anyway. They're watching you on another, there's nothing that I can do about it. I don't worry about it. If they want your information, they want to know what you're doing, they're going to. If you're using your debit card for all of your purchases, then the government already knows where you're spending your money. Unless you're doing cash only, they already know everything. They know how much money you make, where you spend it, what you do with it. They see your phone calls. They know who you're talking to. They already monitor everything. So embracing and using Facebook, I get it. Let's see here. All right, Merry Christmas. Here's a question. I checked earlier today and didn't see this live on your homepage. Then I saw a notification you started. Well, I don't know why that, because I actually posted this, and I'm sure other folks are going to comment that they did get a notification because I scheduled this at about 4 o'clock, I think. I scheduled it earlier in the afternoon. So make sure you have the notification bell checked, and whatever device you're expecting to get notifications on, make sure that it is allowed, because if you have the notifications bell checked, but then your device, your phone, has blocked all notifications, then you're not going to get it. So you have to allow notifications on your phone, turn the notifications on on your YouTube where you're subscribed. But yeah, I actually posted this one 4 hours or so early. Merry Christmas, many blessings. Have a great one. Remember remember the reason for the season. And that's what I did the tree last week. Google's, but you can use DuckDuckGo, but I believe they're going to get you. They're going to watch you. Yeah, they got you on YouTube, eh? Yeah. And Carl says, he got the notice. So you just got to make sure you got your notifications turned on everywhere, turned on in the subscription, and allow notifications on your devices. All righty. And I do, I want to thank again all of my patrons. I thank you for your patience through this month. I'm getting things straightened out. My webmaster is working on an entirely new web page. We're hammering out the details. We're starting to get some stuff coming along. I'm working on getting that new member press up and going. If you are a patron, continue to be a monthly patron, but do not do any annual renewals on Patreon. Do not renew any annual payments. If you have renewed your annual payment back in October or November, no worries. You're not going to lose anything. When I transfer everything over, I'll transfer all existing memberships, including memberships that are paid forward. You'll have all of that will be transferred in. You're not losing anything. Just don't give Patreon any more of your money than necessary. That's the reason I'm making this move, is to get away from them taking their pound of flesh. I was looking at, let's see, what's Radu. I was looking earlier at Hobo with, I haven't, Hobo with Chips is on pause right now because I'm just so disheartened with, what's that software? See, that's how the brain, the stroke brain just shuts down. I'm so disappointed with the software that Lightburn brought out for the CNC. They haven't brought it out. It's pre-release. Millmage. Thank you, Kilroy. I'm just so disappointed with Millmage that it's no further along than it is, that I'm having to I want to stay in the Lightburn family. I do not want to go down the path of starting to learn the V-carve, the Vetric, and all those other things. I want to stay in the Lightburn family. It's just not there. Let's see here. Carl, how's Dad? Well, I thought, and I haven't shared a whole lot with the general public, and mostly the patrons know what all's going on there. And I haven't posted anything in Patreon about Dad. I'll share some updates. I don't want to put all that out there in the general public, but as a patron, I do want to keep you up to date. There's news. I've got an appointment Monday to get some more results. Yes, absolutely. It needs to be a 3D. Right now it's 2.5D. And I've learned a ton playing with Millmage and figuring out what I like and what I don't like. And the biggest things about it that I don't like is the fact that it's not 3D. It's only 2.5D. But by having its limitations of only being 2.5D is how I learned. It's the offset calculator that I created for inlays. If you're going to be using a 2.5D software like Millmage and like a few others, I think Easel and a few others are still just 2.5D. If you're doing inlays in 2.5D, my inlay calculator is a game changer. But it still has its limitations because you can't get those sharp points with 2.5D. Everything gets rounded over and rounded off, and it just looks so much better with true 3D carving. So it desperately needs 3D. And Wayne, no, I told everybody in the very beginning, I drove yesterday for a total of 12 hours looking at two different ones. I drove from the Charlotte, North Carolina area all the way down into the mountains of Georgia with the intent to purchase one yesterday. I already put insurance on it. I'd already prepared to wire the man the money after I did my visual inspection. Based on his descriptions, it was everything that I would want. And when I got there, he had misrepresented the product, and it was a salvage. It was a flood unit, just like what I've got. But he was trying to pass it off, and I guess he just thought he was talking to a dummy. And I am ignorant on a lot of things. I am not a genius. I'm not a know-it-all. But when I know what I know, boy, do I know what I know. And I do know, after being full-time living in RVs, I know what to look for, how to hide and disguise. But this one wasn't even hidden. You looked up into the bedroom floor, and it was like a washboard. It was just so wavy. Just to look at it from 12 feet away, I was like, dude. So I turned around and walked out. He said, where are you going? I said, you just wasted, I think it was 3.5 hours driving one way there. Might have been 3 hours there, 3 hours back, 6 hours. But then I did a long detour over into the state of South Carolina to go look at another one. And then that one, Also, some misrepresentation. I don't understand why people lie. I just don't understand the point. You know, especially anyway, they misrepresented it too, and it wasn't terrible, but it was more than I wanted to deal with. So drove back, and then I got into the Friday afternoon holiday traffic leaving Charlotte. And so by the time I got home, I was 12 hours behind the wheel and nothing accomplished except eliminating 2 units. So I'm still looking, still looking. Let's see here. Chris says, on the plus side, Millmage is progressing faster than Vectric did when it was at the same stage. You know what? I take contention with that, Chris, because I don't know how long Vectric progressed, how long it took them to progress, but Millmage was touted as ready for release 2 years ago. It was ready. That was the whole reason for going to the Lightburn Expo in East Peoria, is it was to release Millmage, to release it, not pre-release it. It was being ready. It's still not ready. So, yeah. I use easel, but would love to do some 3D. Yeah, I don't. I hated easel. Millmage is better than easel. Millmage is better than easel. Your hands are tied. I'm sure it's improved some since I used it, but I used easel for about 30 days and said, yeah, this is a joke. Chris says he went back to Vectric and V-Carve, and when Millmage finally releases, it will have a new look. Yeah, well, it definitely needs it. The one up the street didn't have. No, that one's still a player. And that's the real kick in the teeth here, Wayne. I have gone high and low looking around, like I said, 12 hours driving yesterday. And just my uncle said, look on Marketplace, Facebook. And we found that one right down the street. It's just probably 4 miles away from me, 2 miles away from Ed Cameron. Ed's even closer to it. We went and looked at it, but it's missing some key elements that I can overcome, but I'm trying to find one that has everything. I don't want to settle. This one is a cream puff. It is immaculate, but it's just missing some key features that I really want to have. But I'm not going to go spend another $120,000 or $150,000 on a new one. So if I have to forego getting exactly what I want and settle, I'll settle for a cream puff like that. But I ain't got there yet. I just stopped my Patreon on YouTube. Say it will be up on January 7th, so I'll have to sign up on the new one. All right, John, here's what I would caution you. And I've mentioned it. When I first started Patreon, I felt like a complete fraud. When I first started Patreon, I felt like a fraud because there was nothing available for me to give folks other than just my tutelage, just what I'm doing right now. And people were signing up as patrons because they just wanted to support the effort. But now I've got over $600 worth of files that are there for people to download with their support. And I have those unscrupulous fools that will sign up and download 120 or 100. I throttled it, but I didn't cut it down to nothing. But I have people who will download the entire library and then cancel their membership. So in the new member press, the new memberships, they're going to be 20, 30, and 10 instead of, I mean, be 30, 20, and 10, 30, 20, and 10 instead of 29 and 3. But if you're a current patron and a current bronze, silver, or gold, if you have currently are at 3, 9, or 20, it will remain that. I'm not going to increase the monthly support for existing patrons. So when the new system comes online, if you have an existing membership, if you have an existing gold tier at 20 a month, your new membership will still be 20 a month as long as you keep it going. It will not go up. But if you cancel and decide to come back, you'll have to come back at the new tier levels. But as long as you maintain your monthly support at what it is, it will always be that and never go up on you. So I would not wait to sign up. And here's another thing, just to let you know, I'm shooting myself in the foot a little bit. If you're a bronze and silver now, you should seriously consider jumping up to the gold now at 20. And then you'll be able to stay at a gold 20 instead of a gold $30 a month. So anyway, and then you got people like his, like V. And V, you're not the only one. There are several supporters out there that they would rather take, they want the knowledge. They don't care about the files. They want to see, like what we just did tonight, learn how to do it themselves. As Russ likes to say, teach a man to fish. They want to learn how to do it, and they appreciate the knowledge, and they've not downloaded the first file yet because they're simply taking the knowledge and the know-how and creating their own. They don't need the library. They do their own thing. Yeah, and like Jack says, I like designing my own stuff, and I love the fact that I can do this and teach you step by step. And I can't wait to see, because I know there's somebody who's going to create something that's going to be really lavish and above and beyond, but based on the concept of what we did tonight. And they're going to be posted in the Hobo with Wood Facebook group. I can't wait to see them. I think all my downloads have been just checking when someone says they're having a problem. Yeah. And there's been a few times that when someone points out a problem, I'll get it fixed. And then I actually try to email that new and corrected file to everyone who's downloaded it previously, so they have the latest and greatest. And if you're not aware of this, guys and gals, the reason that I stress to you to put in, I don't care about your physical address. I don't really care about your phone number, but your phone number is nice to have, because there have been times when folks have an issue and I've been able to reach out and contact them because they did share their phone number. But I don't need your physical address information and all that. The payment processing might need it, but your email is crucial, that you create an account with your actual email, because a couple of things happen. When you create your account, you use your email, you log in, you can't download anything without an account, even if you're paying full price for it. If you're downloading a file and paying full price for it, it's going to require you to set up a customer profile, your email address, your information, and your payment information. If you're gold, silver, or bronze, you're going to be able to log in and get it at a discounted price with your coupon code. But when you log in, you put it in your cart and you check out. Once you check out, if you wait, the screen will auto refresh and have a button for you to click on to download your file. If you entered your correct email address, you will also receive an email from Hobo with Wood with a link to download that file in your email address. if you put in a bogus email, like a lot of people do, you never receive that email. And people do that. They put in a bogus email and then they don't wait for it to refresh to get that immediate download option. And then in my inbox is filled with, I bought this, but I never got it downloaded. Well, that's because you didn't put the right email in, or you didn't do this, or you didn't, So I don't use your information for anything. I don't sell it. I don't gather it and sell it to Google or anybody else. It's for your own benefit that you put the correct information in. And here is another reason why. I do not limit the number of times you can download a file that you have paid for or have access to. If you paid full price for it, or if you downloaded it for free as a gold patron, once your account profile has acknowledged that you downloaded the hat file, you can log in using your account information and download that file again as many times as you need to. If it's 3 months later, if you purchased it 3 months ago, you can go download it again at no cost. If you're logged into the same account that you created whenever you did your downloads, put in your right information. And you as far as when you'll, Kevin, let's see here. Let's see if I missed anything else. I could not change to monthly from annual. I could only cancel Patreon, but then I was no longer signed up, got busy missing. Yeah, it just gets, I would sign back up now as a monthly. And that's what Chris mentioned last week, is if you are an annual, you can't download, you actually have to cancel. You can't downgrade, rather. If you're gold, they won't, or if you're annual payment, they won't let you downgrade to monthly. You have to cancel. And then as long as you are subscribed before the new piece goes, and I'm not, and Carl's been a supporter for God knows how long. So if he doesn't get signed back up before the new one goes live, I'm not going to say, no, you can't have the old one when we sign you up immediately. But it's going to be so much easier, because when I do go to make that transition, I can download a CSV file with everybody, every patron, and every patron support. Then I can import that into the new one. I can pull it in, done. So if you're not in that CSV file, I'm not able to just bring you over and bring you in. There's going to be some learning curves and a little transition there, that because you got to go in and create a new. No, you're not. You're going to be able to use your old profile. You're going to still have access to that. I'm still learning. And it's something that I'm having to do. My web host is not familiar with this. He's designing the pages. I'm creating the membership part of it, but we'll get there. That no one's taken me up on the platinum membership yet. So when should I actually cancel the Patreon? Well, I think I wouldn't cancel. I just stay monthly, no annuals, but I wouldn't cancel, because that's going to make that importing the stuff in better. All right, let's see here. Well, it's too late. It says, Patreon say if you cancel it, we'll return to current annual. Well, we'll figure it all out. I promise you, none of my patrons, none of my existing patrons are going to be charged any additional fees in the new program. I have a camera for the laser. I'm sorry. I put an extension on my bed. I know it won't see all of the bed. Can I program it to at least? No, I don't think so. Well, to see the portion of your bed accurately, to see the portion of it, I would think so. But you can get a camera, I think, with the fisheye lens, and then because I've got one of those for whenever I was using the junk CO2. And you can pick those up. In fact, if you depend on a camera, and I don't even have that camera hooked up. That camera is unplugged. I don't even turn it on. I find cameras are useless because of all the variables with the thickness of the material and everything else. I leaned on it a little bit when I first started using the Rolly, but I just disconnected it. I don't even use it anymore. I use the framing function with the laser to see where, because the Rolly doesn't have the crosshairs. So I turn the laser on when framing, and I get to see what I want to see. And I'm in tune with the laser, so I know pretty much where I need to position, what I need to position, and I don't even depend on the cameras. But if you did your extension and you really want the camera, I would suggest that you look at getting the appropriate camera so you can go ahead and set it up and see everything, because I don't know what, if I was leaning on the camera, I wouldn't want to see half my bed. I would look into getting one with the wide angle or the fisheye or whatever and get your whole piece. Patreon now says I'm not a member and keeps offering to upgrade, but if you are a annual and you're paid up until January, they're just knocking on your door wanting to get you back. They want that money. I'm telling you, they are some greedy sums. That's why I'm getting away from it. I want to get through all these questions and comments before I sound off out of here. The Patreon cancel is stuffed. The Patreon cancel is stuffed. Does not work like it says it does. It's whenever we get and here's the thing. It's like, if I get this up and going, if Jean is paid up, say, through July, and I get this new one up and going, she's going to have a paid membership with the new membership through July. You will not be billed from Patreon again. You'll cancel all of your billing information from Patreon, and you'll have a membership paid through July under the new system. Then come July, you'll need to renew your membership through the new process, annually or monthly, whichever you want to choose. And with that new process, I'll get 100% of the money. They're not taking their pound of flesh. My Patreon canceled, expires January 2nd. So let me know ASAP. Well, Terry, I'm not canceling, and I didn't mention this either. Anyone who in the month of January and December, if you have an existing coupon code and you cancel anything you got going on with Patreon, your coupon code's still going to work. I'm not canceling any coupon codes until I get the new system up and going. And then I'm going to go in and clean house, make sure that all the coupon codes that are out there are going to people who have paid memberships. But if you canceled right now, if you're a gold membership right now and you cancel, you're still going to have your free access for the rest of this month and probably through January, because it might be mid or end of January before I get a new one up and going. But I'm not canceling any coupon codes. Everybody will still have free access to everything that they've got access to, regardless if they pay any more money to Patreon or not. I'm not going to cancel anything. I'm going to keep this as headache free for you as possible. My head's exploding with crap I got to do, but I'm trying to keep your inconvenience to a minimum. Let's see. So I am annual and paid up through November of next year. That's fine. That's fine. you will still be paid up through November of next year. Don't worry about it. You just you can actually go and cancel your Patreon now, and no future billing, and you'll still be paid through that time. Because even if you show canceled, I show canceled but paid through November 2026. I see that. I was watching my other group when you were telling me what to do about Patreon. What is the new one called? The new one is going to be it's officially called Member Press. The web page design is WordPress, is what I use to create my website, is WordPress. And this is an extension of WordPress. It's Member Press that integrates with my website. So everything is on one site. The new website is going to be all self-contained. You won't need to go to a third-party website like Patreon to see the videos that are going to be exclusive to paid members. You're going to be able to log into your account on hobowithwood.com and see if you're a gold patron, or if you're gold, silver, or bronze, you'll have access to the videos, the blogs, just like you do with Patreon now, but it'll be on the Hobo with Wood website. And there's going to be free memberships, just like there is now. But those who have free memberships will not see the blogs. They won't see all the extra videos and information. They won't have a discount code for the downloads. But everything will be on hobowithwood.com. The videos, everything. No more third party anything. So yeah, and I just answered that. You can cancel at any time. You're still going to be paid through, because they've already billed you. You're just canceling any future or recurring payments. As far as I work, I just use the camera to check. Make sure you got material on the bed. I agree. All my camera does is view what's going on. Yeah. And that is something that is, if you don't have multiple studio cameras like this one and that one, normally I've got the camera right here that's focused on the CNC is set up here watching the bed, and I can just toggle right here for my studio from this camera to that camera and see what the laser is doing. And that's why I don't miss having that one hooked up. Yeah, I was doing that too, V. I was using it for my skeletons to make sure I'm getting the wood positioned right, or position the material or the artwork onto the but I've got to where now, I even did a video a few weeks back where on my skeletons like this, I can take and put a number in the top corner and then put them in one of the milk crates, stack them like, albums. And then I can pull out number one, lay that on the material, lay it on the work bed. And this skeleton is actually saved in the art library under skeletons as skeleton 1. So when I put it on the bed and bring that skeleton art library into the work area, I know where the meat's at. I don't need the camera. And I don't do that all the time because I got so much. But that's another way to get by without having to use the camera. You've got a 300 by 300 piece of material and you cut all that out. Well, save that 300 by 300 perimeter and all your cutouts all as a toolpath. Put it in an art library called Skeletons, number it, save it, organize it, done. No more guessing, and you get 100% of your meat or as much of the meat off the bone as possible. Crosshairs when y'all funny. Let's see. Yeah, well, good night, sir, and thank you. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If I cancel Patreon now, they won't send any messages or anything. Well, I'm not going to be putting anything else on Patreon right now. I've got too much going on to continue to do that. That's why the other night, Wednesday night, I just did a quick live stream Wednesday night because I had a few people who needed some help, and I didn't want to do it on Patreon. I didn't have time to do one-on-ones, so I just went live and just showed the help they needed. So I will not be doing anything else on Patreon, period. I will not be doing anything else on Patreon. Since cancel Patreon shows me nothing from you, no vlogs, no message. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing anything else. Yeah, saving the skeletons is a good idea. I do some of those, and I showed how I did it. Showed you the milk crates, and you can get some elongated milk crates. And the milk crates are perfect for the 300 by 300 material. Perfect size. But I generate so many that it's just sometimes it's faster not to deal with that. But if you're not generating a lot, that's just a real good way to keep everything organized. To be honest, I find rubber band framing work. Yeah, I use rubber band framing only. I don't use the regular framing at all. I use rubber band framing for everything. All right, boys and girls, we are, wow. I wanted to go 90 minutes. We're almost yeah. All right. I want to say thank you to everybody. Your support means everything. Everything. I will. I'll be making some updates to the patrons, but I just said I'm not going to be doing anything through Patreon. I'm going to get this new system up and going very, very soon. Very, very soon. I got to find a new place to live. I get Dad to and from his doctors and get everything figured out there. And we'll get there. We'll get there. You know, I am thankful for all of your support. And I trust that all things will come together in time. So I'm not stressing over anything. I've let a lot of that go, and that's why I'm not trying to do too many live streams. I'm not trying to worry about who else is online, who else is doing this. I can't worry about everybody. I got to take care as you guys, my patrons. I got to take care of number one first. Take care of me before I can take care of everybody else. So we'll get there. And again, Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. And what is the schedule? Where are we? Where's the calendar? Today's the 20th. Christmas is Thursday. And we'll be live next week. So the 27th, we'll be back here again at 8:00. And I'll have a video up again this week two about something else. If you have any questions, you have any needs, you need anything explained, patron or not, hobowithwood@gmail.com. hobowithwood@gmail.com. If I don't have the time to go one-on-one with you, I like to do that because I'm able to answer very specific questions. When I present something, if it generates a new question, I can address it. But if I don't have time, I'll at least do like I did this week. I'll go live, demonstrate how to do the question, and then if there's more, we'll get there. So you guys have a great week, and I will see you in the next live stream or the next video. Good night.